Well. That was the end of Jessica Jones, and now we'll get ready for my first ever episode of Binge Review, in which I'll be going over Jessica Jones. Hello, YouTubers. My name is Frederick Lopez, and you're on the first episode of Binge Review. I just finished watching Jessica Jones on a binge watch. Started 2 a.m. in the morning, watched the first couple of ones until like 4 or 5, more like 4:56. Went to bed, then got up around 10ish, and then watched it straight through. But overall, it's a great addition to the Marvel Universe and really continues the great work that was started with the Daredevil back last spring. And the thing that makes it different, besides it being a female superhero, is that she's a private investigator. And Daredevil is very good. It was a crime drama first, superhero show second. And this one's kind of like that, but this one brings more of a film noir vibe to it. So any fans of film noirs would really, really love this new series. And I have to say that Kristen Ritter does a great job playing Jessica Jones. I mean, she is phenomenal. She conveys all the pain, complexity, and kind of like hard-boiled, kick-ass nature of the character of Jessica Jones. And she's the best part about this whole show. Mike Coulter plays Luke Cage, and it's great seeing Luke Cage. He's in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and it's really cool to see this character brought back into the live action. Rachel Taylor plays Trish Walker, Jessica Jones' stepsister, and you may recognize her in Transformers as well as the recent Charlie's Angels reboot that was short-lived. Carrie-Anne Moss plays Jaren Hogarth. Eka Darville plays Malcolm, her next-door neighbor. He has a really great arc. And then as the villain Kilgrave, aka the Purple Man, is David Tennant. Will Travel plays Will Simpson. He starts off being possessed but then ends up snapping out of it, and he kind of becomes an ally in helping Jessica Jones hunt down Kilgrave. Now, the Purple Man, he was cool. I know him from Daredevil in the 1960s comics, but supposedly later on in the Max series, in the Alias comics, they brought him back as a villain in Jessica Jones. And I have to say, he does a great job here. He's not as menacing as Kingpin, but when he's on there, he's really cool. He's a mind manipulator. He can control people, tell them what to do. If he wants them to like slit their own throat or cut their own heart out, they will do it because they listen to him. But yeah, the show starts with this character, Hope, and her parents are looking for her, and they hired Jessica Jones to find her. So Jessica Jones has to search for their daughter, Hope. And when she does, she finds out she's been possessed by this character named Kilgrave, the Purple Man, which is David Tennant. And that sets off a whole web of fear and pain for Jessica Jones as we find out that she once knew Kilgrave and was a victim of his until she left him to die. And now she fears of him coming back and enacting vengeance upon her, which kickstarts the whole series from the pilot onward. I have to say, I'm not a big Marvel reader. I read some of the X-Men, but I had no idea who Jessica Jones was. I knew who Luke Cage was. I'm stupid enough not to know that her and Luke Cage are married, but I just knew he existed. But I never read any of the comics, Alias comics, none of that. I didn't know anything going into this. So this review is basically for people who are kind of intrigued, or fans. It's a good show, and I have to say, it really got me interested in this character. And one thing I respect is it kind of brought back the relatability to Marvel characters again, kind of like in the earlier comics I loved and read. If it's in the real world, it's none of that kind of silly Avengers stuff with like the one-liners. Like Jessica Jones feels like a real person. She has super strength and everything, can jump high, but she feels like a real person, and she has real issues just like any other human being. She has a life. She suffers from PTSD. She's constantly drinking. And I won't give away too much, but overall, the pros, I love the cinematography on this. Oh my god, the cinematography is amazing. I would compare it to David Fincher's work on The Girl Dragon Tattoo, as well as Nicholas Winding Refn's work on Drive, with a little bit of Punisher Warzone by Lexi Alexander. It wasn't the best film, but it had a lot of those kind of green and blue, purple type of neon lights with a gold look and tint to it with the nighttime life in New York City. And there's been great shots, overhead shots, low angle shots, high angle shots, just different various type of shot sequences used in scenes that you normally don't see. It's not very fixed with medium close up or long establishing and wide. It's kind of very experimental in a degree. Her roommate has a pretty interesting arc as well. He starts off as a druggie, but then you kind of get to know more about his past, and there's something more than meets the eye. I love the romance between Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. The chemistry between the two actors was really good. And I also liked it because they both were equals in a way. They never met another person who was like them. They both have like super strength and are able to fight people with one hand. And it was nice seeing that these two people met and crossed paths who are also very similar, while also having a past that connects to the both of them. It's a very strong part of the show, and they have a lot of chemistry. Carrie-Anne Moss, as her boss, has a relationship with another woman. That's kind of interesting, but yeah. Yeah, sorry, Keanu. She's moved on. Trinity, help! It's a really well-written series, and I love the film noir aspects of it, how we're in Jessica's head, her going through, doing her private eye investigations, taking photos, talking, and then just like thinking things out. It's very much like playing the video game Max Payne or reading and seeing any older film noir films. And very much Jessica Jones isn't just like a superhero show. It's a film noir, and more than a film noir, it's a modern noir. And it's very rare to have a show mix several genres of like superhero, supernatural, in addition to like the film noir. And some action. And by action, the choreography is fantastic. There's a lot of great fight scenes in here. Christian Ritter's Jessica Jones just kicks ass, and she is one tough cookie. She takes shit from nobody. And it's fantastic to see a strong, not only a strong superhero, but a strong female hero, a strong female in general, female lead, who just like kicks butt and takes names. She does have to deal with this one weird roommate upstairs. This weird lady, yeah, she's just weird. Yeah, I don't know. Her and her brother have a weird thing going on, but Jessica Jones kind of shows her in one little way. Yeah. Watch it and see what happens. I don't know what to say about that still. Overall, though, on cons, I would say that on its own, in addition to being compared to Daredevil, it kind of has a weak supporting cast. The actors do a great job. It's just the way they're written and are into the story. Like, it just makes it feel like the show is slow. And another thing that bogs it down besides the pace is the lack of David Tennant's villain. Normally, I would say filler episodes are just kind of fluff, but I feel like you kind of need them to keep something going because she's looking for Kilgrave, and there's moments where they mention him. It's a story, but like he's not shown for multiple episodes, and it just makes everything feel much slower with them just talking in like 3 locations without much going on. Pretty much, those are my only cons of the show. But other than that, I really, really, really loved it, and I would say Daredevil's just a little bit better, but Jessica Jones shouldn't really be compared too much. It's something of its own. It's a different genre. But overall, in the future, I would like to see where Jessica goes in being a hero. And then I also like to see more connection with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There are some mentions with Avengers and why people don't like heroes and other beings with powers. Rosario Dawson makes a quick cameo towards the end, which is very cool to see that connection, but ultimately I would have loved to see Daredevil. It would have been like Arrow and CW. Totally different show, but it would have been like if it would have been like if Oliver's sister went on The Flash by herself without Arrow and The Flash meeting. And I think for the next crossover, if they're ever going to connect, I think it'd be cool to see Daredevil. Or even just her walking down the street of New York and you see her like hit Matt Murdock by accident and just like, watch where you're going. And he's like blind. Or like Daredevil's on the newspaper or news. Something like that would have been really, really cool, I feel, to connect the universe without it being a blatant Super Friends type of crossover. Some of the stuff that's been said on articles, if it's too X-rated for Netflix and the content, this isn't a kid's show, but I wouldn't say that it's X-rated. I would say it's probably a light R. I mean, there is some sex and there's some graphic violence. The graphic gore and violence are probably a little bit more. The sex are sex, but there's no nudity whatsoever. I would say in one scene of Game of Thrones or American Horror Story, there's more content than the entire series of Jessica Jones so far, I would say. I haven't read the comic, but I'm pretty sure it's probably more violent and kind of sexually explicit than the series is. But I really dig the style of this show, and I highly recommend it. I'm not a reader of the Alias Max series comics. I've read the Punisher Garth Ennis comics. I haven't read much of the Alias comics. I think I will pick up a graphic novel and some of the comic book series from the Max series. After reading the Max series, I hope other Marvel properties get this sort of treatment, like Blade and Ghost Rider. Looking at Kilgrave, he kind of gave me a very dark Mephisto vibe from Ghost Rider, and I would love to see them adapt Ghost Rider, Blade, or the Punisher into their own television series in the near future, similar to what they did here. Overall, I would probably give Jessica Jones an 8.5 out of 10. The pros was cinematography, acting. The only cons I have about it is the villain's appearance and the pacing issues at times, as well as the supporting characters. But other than that, it's a really solid series, and I hope to see where it goes and the directions it goes in the future and where it's going to head to with the Defenders and Luke Cage. And also, Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones kicks ass and takes names, and she totally made the show worth watching. So just because of her, I would at least binge watch this show once. And then if you like it, maybe some more. And then go check out Marvel's Daredevil.